With more round one action, Fred Schaefer, who qualified 8th, had to take on Gene Patterson. Remember, Gene now is in Bigfoot. He qualified number 2. Normally, this is a matchup you might see in the finals, but here, Fred goes home early.
No love lost. Ford versus Dodge. Look at this. Two bad boys going at each other. The boy in blue will be coming back in the next round, though. The red Dodge, he goes on the trailer, Gary.
Round 2 action coming. Ken Duffy was one of 3 drivers representing the Dodge contingent with high hopes coming into Lima, Ohio. Duffy now in the far lane, and he's taking on a guy we're glad to see back on the circuit, Gary Porter in the Carolina Crusher. Duffy, the Dodge Express, would take Porter right to the limit, but goes onto the trailer nonetheless.
Gary,
next up for Fred Schaefer. Up until this point, all the wins had come out of the near lane during round 1. Now, Fred had the new Bigfoot driver, Gene Patterson, just where he wanted him, but no, Fred Schaefer couldn't get the job done with barefoot, and he goes home early.
He lost the transmission in no man's land. Not taking anything away from Bigfoot for the win, but we got to be up front. The Dodge did lose the transmission.
Mark Hall, who last season campaigned the USA 1 truck of Everett Jasmer for a race or two, drew Fred Schaefer, but the executioner was no match for barefoot. Now remember how Mark Hall hits the second set of cars. That, of course, was instrumental. Once again, we want to show you a new camera angle we've come up with. Now, 5.417. Now, Fred draws Gary Porter. There's a look at Gary Porter, the Carolina Crusher, and he pulls up against Fred Schaefer in barefoot. Chevrolet and Dodge.
Dodge has a tendency to really leg it on the big end, try to really air it out. Oh, look at that. He flew over the finish line, Gary.
Man, look at the altitude. We've got to notify the local air traffic controllers of the competition here this afternoon. Let's take a look again as the Dodge knocks out the Chevrolet coming right at you. There is barefoot and Fred Schaefer, the old drag racer, doing it here in Bloomsburg.
Look at the horsepower that they're putting down on that track with those big old tires.
Well, let's go back down trackside and get a comment from Fred Schaefer, Army.
Gary, we know for a fact that Bob Wildberger with Chrysler Corporation got with you and said, hey, he wanted you to go to the head of the class. It looks like you're working your way through.
Yeah, Army, I'm taking them one at a time, and there's some really fast trucks out there today, and the heat and everything, I think, is playing a toll on everything else, too.
We take a look at barefoot now with Fred Schaefer, and Fred will go up against Gene Patterson in Bigfoot. Now, they've watered the track there at the starting area. It's a little loose on the line, and both drivers are trying to pack down the dirt to get a better bite. There's a look at Gene Patterson in Bigfoot.
That's that dry hop procedure we were telling you about a moment ago that came over from the sport of drag racing. In drag racing, they do it to heat the tires to get a little bit sticky. In monster truck racing, they do it to clear out the path in front of them. They don't have to worry about bite with those big cleats or those big bars on those tires.
So it's Dodge against Ford in the semis as Andy Brass looks on because he will face the winner of this one for the championship here in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania.
Schaefer came up on the torque converter trying to get out of the hole quick, Gary.
Oh, how close was that one? Let's get the opinion of an expert down there. But as we take another look at the replay, and here's what Andy Brass was talking about. Now watch this slingshot effect on the landing.
Yeah, when he settles down, it's like winding up a rubber band. The harder it goes, the tighter it gets.
Well, let's talk to our winner. There's a look at the finish, Fred Schaefer.
Well, Fred Schaefer climbs out of barefoot. Now, Fred, like we say, we know there's a big meeting of the top guns, and they told you to go after those Fords. Now it's down to one-on-one. Can you handle Andy Brass?
I don't know, Army. I'll tell you what, that big Dodge motor in there is doing the job. If I can do my job in there, I think we're going to come out real good because that Dodge motor's got the power.
Okay, now Andy said something about the transmission you have, the fact that no man's land is where you can really plant all that Dodge horsepower. Getting off the line, is that as important to you, or are you going to try to pull him on the other end?
Well, I think that horsepower is going to make it up between the cars, hopefully, but I want to stay with him on the line. If I can stay with him on the line, I think between the cars, I'll get him.
It should be interesting. We'll take a look again of this run between barefoot and Bigfoot coming right at you. There's the crush cam. There's the undercarriage of barefoot. So it's going to be
anything, but I'd sure like to go to the winner's circle.
Well, Army, it's always nice to be witness to history, and 2 Dodges side by side for the championship. We are witnessing history.
Well, Van Loo knows one thing for sure. The worst he can finish is second today.
Side by side off the first jump, but there it is, the big red barefoot The red Dodge of Fred Schaefer.
Oh, we got a problem. Rear steer went away on Van Loo. He's okay.
Lou almost went on over. Van Loo almost got on his head that time. But there's a look at the Magnum Force truck as he finishes second. As we take a look one more time, even off the start, but down in no man's land, it was Fred Schaefer.
The big Chrysler Hemi's making all the horsepower. Like Fred said, if you can stick it, you can go to the other end quick. He did.
Fred said the engine would do its part.
4 out of 4 in Bloomsburg.
And a happy crew as Fred does his part. Takes a while to unbuckle and climb out. Let's go talk to Fred Schaefer.
Fred, I tell you what, you got to be tickled to death with this. The crew's tickled to death. You've done a great job. After the last race, you almost had to just regroup and just make yourself not let that happen again.
That's right, Army. Two trucks, it puts a lot on you when you first get started out there, and we're getting lined out now, and we're feeling real good about what we're doing.
I was going to buy a new pickup tomorrow. What kind should I buy?
Dodge, no doubt about it.
A valiant effort. Well, here is the Dodge entry of Barefoot and Fred Schaefer. Talk about ex-drag racers. There he is from Pontoon Beach, Illinois, an ex-drag racer, and he goes with the Dodge power.
But in the lane next to him, Gary, another Dodge-powered vehicle, Magnum Force of Donnie Van Loo, and Schaefer had to put him on the trailer in order for him to advance in the next round.
Yeah, this was first-round competition between the two Dodge trucks. Now we take a look at Bigfoot. That's the big side out of St. Fred Schaefer. Barefoot against Bigfoot. Dodge against Ford.
This one alone is worth the price of the ticket, believe me. Watch no man's land. They'll settle down. They make horsepower. They fly.
Gene maybe by, what, 2 feet?
Man, I don't know. I had my eyes shut.
Gene Patterson by maybe 2 feet. A good close race. Look for Schaefer to come back as the fast loser as we take one more look. Even up over the first jump through no man's land. And perhaps it's that last moment of acceleration right here at that jump that gives the victory to Gene Patterson, and he's standing by with Army Ken Deppy strapped in the cockpit of the Dodge Dakota. He'll pull alongside the Monster Patrol with Paul Schaefer.
This is part of the new wave of trucks that are coming into the circuit. Schaefer in a far lane runs Paul's Auto Yards, one of the biggest auto salvage operations in the country, comes out with a wing on the vehicle. Schaefer says that wing may actually be an asset to him. Does it work? He says, well, we're not going to say it does or it doesn't. Meanwhile, Ken Deppy comes over out of Jeff City, Missouri, driving the Dodge Express. We told you earlier about major corporate America wanting to get involved in this sport. Well, this is how Deppy rolled over into this round. He put one of the big Ford boys in the big box in order to advance into this round of competition.
Well, Army, remember when we went to break, we talked about this crew right here working on the Monster Patrol, getting it back in shape for round 2 competition after a very hard landing in round 1. Well, the crew has done its job. The Monster Patrol lines up against the Dodge Express.
Well, this is going to be anybody's race. Both of these guys are what I would call new young guns in the circuit. Chevrolet in the far lane, carrying their colors. Dodge in the near lane. Oh, Dodge has got him covered.
Yeah,
big
Dodge
time.
has him covered. You are right.
Whoa.
Oh, hang on. He almost had himself covered. Almost upside down right there. That's where some of the best driving comes into play.
Exactly.
In the shutdown area.
They say it ain't over till the fat lady sings. Well, believe me, she was wailing then trying to get that thing back on the ground.
Look at that rough landing. Talk about rough landing.
That was the smoothest of the two. Oh, monster trucks, we love you.
Watch this shot of the Dodge Express. Now watch how far out of shape he gets right there. Coming at you this time, and again, some of the best driving we have seen throughout the season is these guys getting those things shut down and not getting upside down. Like right here, he has to power out of it.
Boy, good
make sure he doesn't roll on over.
Camera guy's doing a great job on that, taking it right into our living rooms.
Well, let's go down to the pit area and have a word with Deppy.
Well, I tell you, it's a long time coming, but when he gets here, it's got to feel good to you.
It's mighty nice, Army. Thank you.
Now, you and the crew and Fred's been over. Everybody's been working. It has not been a good year to this point. Is this the time you're turning it around?
I sure hope so. We've been working real hard, had a lot of little bad breaks. Hopefully today it's going to turn around and come our way. You know, we've had a lot of good help from Dodge and from Fred, so I think we'll do it.
Well, it could be a Dodge day here in Bloomsburg. We'll find out as we come back. Fred Schaefer and Army, you talked to Fred about his second driver, Ken Deppy.
Yeah, Army, Ken's coming along real good, and I think you're going to see a real strong competitor here. He's learned every week just like us, and he's going to be real good.
How about Dodge's involvement in this thing? They want you guys to win big time, right?
That's right. That's what we're here for, and we got the horsepower. All we just need to do is put that horsepower on the ground, Army. I think you'll see some good results here.
You can see the ruts right there as they have been tracking back and forth, getting ready for the start.
In drag racing, they do the dry hop procedure on the starting line to heat the tires. Here they do it to get just clean dirt, if you will. If there's such a thing where those big old tires can grab. Yeah, it's like starting in a railroad rut, if you will.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a close one.
Whoa,
well, from that shot, we obviously couldn't tell. We'll have to wait and see who actually won that, Ford or Dodge.
They look like two fighter planes in a dogfight right there, man. They were going after each other.
We will have to take a look at the replay to see who actually won this thing as we take a look at Wildfoot. And, well, the Barefoot crew doesn't look too happy. I think we can show you why. Rules dictate that you must hit with both front tires what you're jumping. Now, watch Fred Schaefer right here. He misses with the left side tires. He's disqualified.
Well, Gary, we were talking about how important the no man's land was. Fred, it looked like the truck got away from you in no man's land. It didn't set up straight for the second jump.
Yeah, you're right, Army. It didn't, but when you run a guy like Andy Brash, you don't let off. And I knew it was a little bit crooked, and I thought I could get it straight. And it was a little bit crooked there on the landing, and I was just going to stay in it no matter what.
So there is a look at our next pairing between the Dodge Express and Bigfoot. So another matchup between Dodge and Ford. Let's talk now with Andy. Bigfoot with Gene Patterson and the right to meet Andy Brass for the championship.
Well, both drivers working that starting line to perfection. You're trying to psych the other guy. They won't admit it, but they are trying to psych the other guy out. They want the other guy to stage first so he goes up on his brake and gets more heat in his engine, the transmission or whatever. Green light pops.
Oh, looks like the Dodge Express got the whole shot, but
Whoa!
they get together, and that would disqualify the Dodge Express because he was over in Gene Patterson's shutdown lane.
Yeah, both drivers, the kill switches have been activated. Okay, the automatic kill switches, both trucks sitting dead in the water on the end of the track. Safety crew coming in. Replay is going to come up on the screen, but like you say, Deppy, now both guys had it on kill. Let's be up front with everybody.
But Deppy's out of shape right there across that center line marked by those cones. He makes light contact, but that's still enough to be disqualified.
Yeah, but Gary, light contact in this sport is kind of like being a little bit pregnant. There's no such thing. When you hit these guys, you hit a ton. It is real contact. You don't believe me? Just look at it one more time. They're lucky they kissed tires and it didn't get on top of each other, Gary, like sprint cars normally do.
Yeah, because one car would have been, or in this case, a truck would have been upside down.
Quick.
Well, here's a look at the crash cam, and there's the contact as we go trackside to visit with Ken Deppy.
Tell you, nothing to be ashamed of. It was, from this end, it was spooky. What about your seat?
Oh, it got just a little bit loose just as I hit the ramp there, and I could feel myself drifting a little bit on it. And once you're up in the air, there's no real control by the driver anymore. And I knew I was going to get up against him. I'm not sure who was over, you know, the farthest. I'm just assuming I was.
Okay, yeah, that rule just came down that they're disqualifying you. He gets the win because when you landed at his lane. And are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I was, like I say, when I was flying through the air, I could see that I was drifting off to the right, and I was afraid I was going to do that.
Coming up, the two Dodges have been knocked out. They've been DQ'd. It's an all-Ford final. Stay with us. For Dodge, the best entry was a bit of a surprise. Ken Deppy in the Dodge Express, who we saw make it to the semis last week, was third quick in qualifying. But watch this tough landing. Ken would meet up with Wayne Smozanik in round one. Now, we'd like to point out we'll be bringing you shots from our crush cam tonight. It's coming up momentarily. There it is as Deppy would advance. Smozanik red-lighted and was DQ'd. We like to put cameras everywhere. Tonight we have one in the cab with Fred Schaefer's Barefoot. Here's Fred going on one of his patented burnouts. And in round one, Fred would draw the Executioner Chevrolet of Mark Hall. Fred goes on to round two. Hall goes on the trailer. What great shots from inside the cab of the big Dodge Barefoot. The second fastest qualifier was the snake by Ford. Dodge shootout Army, the Dodge Express, Ken Deppy, and he pulls up against Don Van Loo.
The Dodge boys come up side by side. They used to wear white hats. It's a black Dodge. The Dodge Express of Ken Deppy goes up against Van Leeuwen. And where are they both from?
Jefferson City, Missouri. We call these the three amigos with the Dodge products. But right now, one Dodge is going to advance and one's going to go to the trailer.
The only hope one guy has is he may win and the other guy may be quick loser. But what's interesting, the Jeff City, Missouri scenario here, there's probably 9 monster trucks from that small community in the show me
right
state.
the St. Louis area.
Yeah, just outside of St. Louis. Meanwhile,
oh, look at this. Look
Whoa.
how close this is. Oh, a fender. A fender for the Dodge Express. Ken Deppy takes the victory. And we'll have to see just how fast Magnum Force was. You're right. He could come back as a fast loser.
Yeah. Well, when the two Dodges squared off, we knew we were going to see a Donnybrook. That's exactly what we did see. But Deppy pulled it back on the big end to take a win. However, Jeff City was the winner all the way around there, Gary.
All right, let's talk to Ken Deppy.
Donnie Van Leeuwen is running tough out there.
Yeah, he is, Army. He run me a really tough race. It was a little bit of driver error. I come off the line kind of slow, and I knew he had me off the line. I really had to try to catch it up the end. I knew he's running a Dodge Hemi too, so the power's there. And it was a tough one.
Third Dodge Amigo gives us this shot right here. This is from the cab of Fred Schaefer's Barefoot. He'll take you for a ride tonight. This is actually going to be our first Ford versus Dodge matchup because in the far lane, Snakebite, Colt Cobra.
You know, Colt Cobra's not going to roll over for this Dodge in any way, shape, or form. You know, it's almost like Colt Cobra's coming back to its old form. Meanwhile, Fred Schaefer, he's just like a rock. He's tough no matter what happens. Two of the coolest in the sport, the young gun kid in the far lane out of Colorado, Snakebite, Ford-powered, BDS supercharger for horsepower, motor sets in the front. Meanwhile, Schaefer, the old pro, he's closest to it. New Dodge Concept Chrysler Hemi engine. You're on board with Schaefer. Let's take a ride, Gary.
You just can't feel the abuse those guys take when they land, but look at that ride by Colt Cobra. A good run by the Snakebite.
Check the light in the driver compartment. The night racing shows us something we don't normally get to see. A yellow light and a red light. That's an indication that the electronic kill switch is completely functional. Something else, I want you to look at the front wheels and the back wheels on Schaefer's. Back wheels are biting, front wheels are not. They're up in the air. He's trying to run on concrete or gravel, and it's just not holding any kind of horsepower for him in the lane closest to the camera. That's why Colt Cobra drilled him literally on that starting line, Gary.
So a big round 2 victory for Snakebite. Now we heard earlier from Andy Brass about the difference in lanes. Now Fred finds himself once again in the near lane, which the drivers are calling the bad lane. Well, he's had some good luck by virtue of being the fast loser. He is back, but this could be a disadvantage. Let's see how he sees it.
A lot of loose gravel there, and the truck will spin. The tires will rotate once or twice before the truck ever moves.
So he's actually got 2 rotation head start on you.
Yeah, he does. So there's quite a bit of difference in ET.
That's why it pays to be the fast qualifier, the fast runner. You get to pick your lane.
You know, that's exactly right, and Andy Brass knows that as well as anybody else. But once again, we're back on board with Fred Schaefer. Keep an eye on the left. That's where Bigfoot is. He's sitting off to your left. Barefoot, both drivers working into the lanes. We got a race. Boy, Brass.
Oh, but good. Wildfoot Brass all over him. He had that one almost immediately. He nailed the whole shot on that, perhaps once again, that starting line where Barefoot was spinning the tires in that loose gravel, and Andy was gone.
You can make all the power in the world, but you can't put it to the ground. It's not doing you any good. It's like swinging at the air.
A look one more time.
I see Brass is moving. Yeah, you're exactly
rear
right.
tires are spinning on Barefoot right there, and Brass is a length away in no man's land. And it's Brass the best once again ET tonight. And the winner of this race has to best that mark. Fortunately, the Dodge of Ken Deppy finds itself in the near lane. That is not the good lane to be in, so Colt Cobra has the fast lane.
Kind of reminds me of the guy that was standing at the airport when his ship came in. The Dodgers are drawing that bad lane tonight, and that is not the place to be.
Let me write that down. He was at the airport when his ship came in.
Meaning he's at the wrong place
at the wrong time. Well, the Dodge Express, Ken Deppy, the Dodgers may have a ride this evening, but so far they've not been quick enough for lane choice, and Colt Cobra will have the lane choice, the good lane at this point.
In this round, he's racing the Dodge, and he's racing the clock, trying to get lane choice in the next round. Look at this. Hard not to look at that, wouldn't it?
Colt Cobra takes it, but we'll have to check the time now. Colt goes a 5.33. So Andy will have the lane choice, and guess which lane he'll take.
I'd bet a month's pay. Your pay.
Yeah, my pay, thanks. All right, let's go back and take a look again. Colt Cobra, the far lane, gets the good jump right here. Hey, he won it right there.
Yeah, instantly. And these Dodge guys are running super. It's just that they can't stick all that heavy horsepower.
A pair of Fords will match up side by side for the championship here in Springfield. Now let's talk to Colt Cobra. So in round one, Ken Deppy in the Dodge Express taking on Brian Welsh in moving violation, and Deppy in another of those potent Dodge pickups. And he takes that victory. Also advancing from round one right alongside Fred Schaefer, the ex-drag racer. And this is going to be Dodge against Dodge, because he'll pull alongside Ken Deppy in the Dodge Express.
Now, this is going to be an interesting run because, well, let me give you, they both are Dodge Dakotas, okay? They're both red, but the truck you're looking at now, the engine is a little bit higher and forward. The Deppy's engine is to the front of the driver. Look at the engine right now below the Barefoot truck. Fred Schaefer's engine is down and low as possible and to the rear. Deppy's engine is low, but to the front. Again, it gets to be a 10,000-pound balancing act.
We go back now to round one action, and Paul Schaefer is in the Monster Patrol again in the near lane, but it's the far lane that takes the victory.
Yeah, Fred Schaefer getting that Dodge truck balanced out, that's what bumped him over into this round. But believe me, just because they're both Dodgers and they're both red, neither one's going to give up to the other guy. This Ken Deppy kid is going to be a player. And again, look where he's from.
Very articulate. I'd like to hear you do the interview with Ken Deppy. I like to hear what he has to say. So here is a shootout between Dodge Dakotas, the Dodge Express, and Barefoot.
Now remember, there's a possibility you could lose and win here. The way you do that is you're the quick loser in this round, and Deppy knows it. So he's running the other truck, but he's also running the clock.
Oh, who's it going to be? It looks like maybe Fred Schaefer by, a foot maybe.
Woo, that was some good racing, Gary.
Oh, that margin of victory was minuscule, as it would appear that Barefoot did indeed win. But hey, I tell you what, this Deppy kid could come back as the fast loser. That was a quick run.
You're exactly right. I'll guarantee you he was just trying to drive his race, his lane, going against the clock.
Well, we take a look again. Watch for the margin of victory, how very small it is.
Also, keep in mind, where has every win tonight come from? Far lane. It's getting closer, though, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, there's the margin of victory right there as we stop it. Now you're going to take a ride with the winner of this round, Fred Schaefer, into no man's land. It settles down over the second set of cars, a rough landing. And let's have some comments from Fred.
I'll tell you what, Gary, if you thought either of these guys were going to roll over, that wasn't the case at all. Hey, you're both smiling. That was one race.
Well, thank you, Army. You know, we want to go as fast as we could because obviously if one of us loses, we want to try and make fast losers. So I think we both give it all we had.
It's kind of strange how you got 3 Dodges and 3 Fords. Now, the Bigfoot crew, they're going to have to try to wipe somebody out. So really, this race could actually be the quickest loser of this race still gets to stay alive. It's important, isn't it?
Exactly right, Army. You got it right on the nose.
You learn anything from this guy?
He's taught me a whole lot. He hired me to drive as fast as I can, and I'm not going to try not to let him down.
He's earning his pay.
Yes, he is. Thank you.
Well, a pair of Dodges go out at that time for the semifinals with 2 Fords and 2 Dodges. First, it's Barefoot, the Dodge, against Snakebite, the Ford.
Well, this is what the people buy the tickets to see. These guys are starting to develop followings. People are starting to pull for them, whether you like one or the other, your manufacturer, personalities, or what have you. But when it comes down to this point in time, it's just a 4-way shootout, Gary.
But we have seen throughout the weeks the coming of the Dodge, the coming of Fred Schaefer and his operation, more competitive every week. And now Ken Deppy in the Dodge Express as well.
Chrysler Corporation is coming out and going after Ford. They realize that this monster truck, the identity here, basically in a nutshell, you win with the monster truck, you're going to sell the new Dodge Dakotas. That's what the name of the game is.
That has been the philosophy of motorsports for the last about 10 decades or so. Since the car first came out, they started racing like at Indianapolis in 1911. There's a shot from inside the cab of Fred Schaefer. Oh, Schaefer does the wheelie, and that cost him the win.
Boy, the kid out of Colorado takes the big Ford into the next round, Gary.
Colt Cobra took advantage of that big wheelie that Fred pulled in no man's land.
That sets up half the final. It's going to be a Ford. Who's going to go in the other lane?
Well, before we find that out, we'll take a look once again at this victory for Colt Cobra. But here in no man's land, watch Fred pull the front end.
Sure, he was trying to go after him, but once again, Gary, so far tonight, every race has been won out of that lane.
So it's imperative to have the quickest run for lane selection.
Exactly. If I drew that other lane, I'd just take the tires off and go home, I think.
Ah, you wouldn't. If you're a racer, you're going to be competitive no matter what lane. You're going to give it your best shot. Right here, here's a happy
You know,
winner.
the Firestones are doing us a good job out here, and all we can do is go on into the next round. I think we got lane choice. We pulled a fast time that round, so we're going to try to play a little head game, show them in the other lane, work with them on the light a little bit, and pull them down through the track.
Well, fans love the competition, and the competition gets tighter every week.
And Wildfoot's in the good lane. I'll be up front with you on this one.
Yeah, if you're going to bet a shilling, bet on Wildfoot in the far lane.
That's saying nothing against the Dodge. That's just laying it on the table. Oh!
Over the crush cam. Good run for Ken Deppy, but once again, it was that far lane.
We got an all-Ford final, Gary Lee. The question is, who is the quickest? Who gets the good lane?
Well, that's the question. I had the answer. Andy turns a 5:26, bettering his overall quick ET. That means he will have lane choice, and guess which lane he is going to take. Army?
This Ken Deppy can rock and goes.
Now we move to round one. This is Big John Moore and No Problem, and he goes up against Ken Deppy, driving barefoot for Fred Schaefer.
Deppy, the new kid on the block, if you will, takes the win more. Dodge that Dodge Ford and so on and so forth. Dodge Chevy Ford.
Yeah, I know. That's the way it worked out from qualifying. That's our matchup. So let's see which Dodge will advance. Don Van Loo against Ken Deppy. Magnum Force against Barefoot.
Van Loo's motor's to the rear of the truck. Deppy's in the front. Right now, I'd want my motor to front.
Well, right now, it's all Barefoot. As Don Van Loo, we saw he had trouble earlier. He limps across the line. Ken Deppy advances with that time you saw there on the screen, and Magnum Force will go back to the trailer. Once again, looking right into the eyes, into the cockpit of Barefoot.
Looking right down the barrel of that old rascal, aren't you? Well, look at that. These guys are really working up in there.
Not a real smooth ride,
No,
fast, but not real smooth. Well, let's go down now and talk to Ken Deppy.
Ken, you get this far in the program, nothing is easy out there, is it?
It seems like we get bad breaks all the time. We've had a couple limiter cables break on the front, and we've had to fix them between rounds. Really pushed us hard for time, but the truck's running real good. I think we got a chance at it today.
Make any difference what lane you go in?
I think the left's the best, but, you know, I don't know if there's that much difference in them. I've been running the left all day, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I want to tell you something. I just asked the same question to the guy you're going against. He wants the right, so both of you are going to be happy campers if that's the way it goes down.
Well, I can live with that, Army.
Good move. It keeps them racing hard.
Well, you'll recall after his second round run, Ken Deppy was talking about some suspension problems on the Dodge Barefoot. Army has this follow-up.
Barefoot was talking about problems they have with their limiter cable, so I thought I'd show you what it is and what it's for. It's this cable right here, and what it does, it keeps the shock absorber from coming apart. The shock absorber is designed to stretch out, but this cable, once the shock absorber goes to maximum length, it actually stops it from going any further and keeps the shock together. Now, this particular vehicle has two shocks. Each shock's $1,500. So if this cable were to snap or malfunction and the front end stretch all the way out, you're going to lose $3,000 worth of shock absorbers instantly.
Cheap cable that does a rather expensive job. All right, we are ready now for side-by-side action. The semis, far lane. Barefoot, the Dodge, near lane, the Ford, Snakebite. Rattler against Deppy.
New kid on the block in the far lane. New kid on the block this lane. The future of the sport, that's what we're looking at. Boy, wheels up start for Snakebite. Deppy trying to muscle him on the other end.
Oh, which was it? Almost a dead heat. Who won that one, Army?
Man, I don't have any idea.
Well, let's check the times. Deppy's a 5:26, 5:25. You can't get any closer than that. Oh,
Man, oh man.
by the eyelash.
That's what I like. The sports keeps going and growing. Here's two new drivers, okay? Driving good equipment. Their mentors are back building better equipment.
Yeah, and let's talk to what has to be a happy Rick Rattler. Also in round one, Ken Deppy and Big John Moore in the No Problem Ford.
This is our battle of the Dodge Mopar guys against the Ford, and Mopar takes this one.
Yeah, Deppy wins that one in the Dodge Express.
Then another Dodge rolls out. It's Fred Schaefer, and he goes up against the Chevrolet of the Hall brothers, and now that left lane, the Dodges all of a sudden start showing they're here for real.
Against Gene Patterson and the Ford Bigfoot. There's a look at Ken Deppy out of Jefferson City, Missouri, which is right next door to St. Louis, basically.
Yeah, I would venture to say, as Patterson comes up on the screen from St. Louis, the state of Missouri probably has more per capita monster trucks than any state in the union. I'll tell you something about this Deppy kid I like. You veterans have noticed it just as well as I do. He wears the MIAPOW patch on his uniform. I appreciate that. Meanwhile, he's going up against Patterson in the far lane. Corporate America is watching this like a rocket ride.
Dodge near lane, Ford the far lane. Patterson picks the front. Look at this. Who won that thing?
I'm saying the
I
Big
think
Red.
Deppy.
Yeah.
I think Deppy. And yeah, look at that time. 5-2-0. The Dodge Express has just knocked out the Ford Bigfoot. Well, some surprises here in round 2 in Canfield.
Far lane initial move was Bigfoot's, but Deppy right here settles down and just like an interior lineman gets mean.
This kid has to be ecstatic. Let's talk to Ken Deppy.
Tell you what, every win's a good win, but I know you want to get these guys driving them FORDs big time.
You know we do, Army. We've been running them tough all year long. You know, it's really hard to beat the Bigfoot boys. They've been at this a long time. They're really fast. We're starting to come into our own, though, now. I think it's going to be a different end of the year this year.
Boy, look at that big grin. Look at the exuberance on Deppy's part as we get a chance to watch another battle between Ford and Dodge. There's Rick Rattler.
Now, Rattler, the second-generation driver for this vehicle, the main driver, Colt Cobra, is doing research and development to make more horsepower with the Rabbit and the Honker. Like a comic strip deal. But right now, there is some serious monster truck racing on this line. Dodge is grinning from ear to ear. They got one guy in the next round. Can Fred Schaefer roll over to go against him?
Now there's Fred Schaefer in barefoot out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois. All right, let's see what this Dodge can do against the Ford. The Ford, the near lane, the Dodge, the far lane.
Look for a wheels up start. And watch the Dodge in no man's land. Wheels up on this side. See what the Dodge does in the middle. Whoa!
Snake bite carries him, but remember, the fast loser comes back. Let's check the times now.
Man, oh man, that was a race.
Fred Schaefer, good run in a losing effort there at 5.26. However, that could be quick enough to get him back as the fast loser. 5.15 for Rick Rattler.
Yeah, the old Rabbit Honker horsepower go to 515. That's look at here. Wheels up. Now he doesn't even set him down. Does a wheelie all the way through no man's land.
Just does touch the front end down before Taylor. Fred Schaefer, barefoot, the second fast loser, will go up against Kirk Dabney's USA 1, the first round fast loser. Now, these same two trucks met last night in the semifinals, and it was all Fred Schaefer. However, this afternoon, the lanes have been swapped.
Yeah, but Schaefer literally mild an iron muscle, and he had him from the get-go.
So once again, the Dodge barefoot, Fred Schaefer, right there you can see his position in the cockpit.
Let me point out some things here real quick. First of all, they look the same. Really, they're not. The Dodge engine is lower than the driver and behind the driver. It gives him a better balance. The USA truck on the far side, the engine sits in front of the driver, basically in a stock location. That has got to affect the handling characteristics. And once again,
last night it was all Fred Schaefer, and today it's all Fred Schaefer.
Tell you what, today the Mopar muscle nets him a 531. Not taking anything away from USA 1, but Chrysler just making a ton more horsepower right now.
Now let's look at this ISO shot of Kirk Dabney. Look how rough this ride is. Look at this landing.
Yeah, he's got to tweak on his chassis. He might be making a horsepower. He just can't get it to the ground. He was all over that place.
As we look again, I think Fred Schaefer could be a guy to be reckoned with when we get to the finals. There is barefoot, a little wheel stand right there. There's the big victory. Let's go talk to Fred Schaefer.
Fred, you're going in the right lane. You're coming into this thing, really, you're kind of in the catbird seat, aren't you?
Yeah, Army, we're trying to get everything figured out here on the track and stuff, and it's a little bit different, and but the track seems to be pretty fast, though.
What do you look for on a track like this? Some of these trucks are really getting thrown out of shape. They get thrown out of shape, they go on the trailer, you're still alive. What are you learning that they're not?
Well, Army, we're learning where to get hooked up at and what it looks like between the cars, if the tires are going to break loose, the truck's going to get sideways, how the ramps are looking there, and the starting line, of course, and that's what we look over out there.
That is called, my friend, experience.
Yeah.
And Fred certainly has
You
it.
know, and he's talking about a 10,000-pound racing vehicle. And that's exactly the same thing you do with a 1,000-pound racing vehicle.
Of Ken Deppy. He drives the Dodge Express. There is the look inside the cockpit of Snakebite.
Told you about the research and development going on with the Ford horsepower with the Rabbit and the Honker. The question, can they get past the Mopar Express? Whoa, kid, wheels up start. No man's land. Who's got it, Gary?
Oh, who does have it? Who does have it?
Yumpin' Yemeni, what a race.
That didn't answer my question.
I don't know. It was that good. 5:36 to Deppy. Okay, let's watch the clock.
I will wait now for that time to come up on Rick Rattler. There it is, 5:30. 6/100ths of a second difference. Here is the replay. Rick Rattler wins it.
Chassis difference is one of them's going to finish up, the other one's going to finish down. Let's see who's going to take the win. One a Ford, one a Dodge. Ford's up, Dodge is down, Ford goes to the circle.
That is what 6/100ths of a second would look like. So Ford takes the victory over Dodge. Now talk about photo finishes. How about this one for an instant replay? The last race we brought you from Canfield, it was another Ken Deppy, Rick Rattler shootout involving a virtual photo finish, and once again the Snake won it. And he...
Well, you know this Snakebite Ford's going to come off that line like a rocket.
Yeah, Army, he's running real close there on times, and it's going to be a real close race, and I'm going to have to be on the light there because we're running real tight.
Barefoot against Snakebite. Well, Barefoot was in the finals last night and lost to Wildfoot. The trucks have never met in the finals during the 93 Penda Series. That's the first.
Advantage has got to go to Schaefer. He's an old drag racer. He's been around a long time. I'm not taking anything away from the kid, but, man, time in the seat, this is where it pays dividends. They'll leave together. You watch to see if Schaefer doesn't settle down in the middle.
Oh, he's spinning his wheel.
Yeah,
he lost it right there. Rick Rattler lost it right there, trying to cut a good light. He sat there at the line, spinning the tires.
I think what happened, he lost his front-wheel drive on that vehicle. Or he lost his rear-wheel drive. He did not have four-wheel drive. I can say that. Watch this.
Take a look again.
Okay, the front wheels only are turning. See, the rear wheels are barely tracking. Meanwhile, Schaefer, he caught the first thing smoking and went to the other end.
So Fred Schaefer, after losing to Wildfoot last night here in Canfield, comes back to take the victory here this afternoon. And let's go down to Victory Lane and talk with Fred Schaefer.
Fred, I tell you what, you blink, you could have lost that one. Did you have any idea that he was having a problem, or did you just drive your own race?
Army, I still don't, I'm not sure what happened there. All I did is try to be on the light. I knew it was going to be a real close race if everything went well. And I still don't know what happened.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. You're going to the bank Monday morning with first place money. Congratulations.
Well, it sounds real good. Well, thank you very much.
In the end, it was four-wheel drive over to
The second jump.
Then in round one, it was Ken Deppy in the Dodge Express against Don Van Loo in the Magnum Force, and it was all the Dodge Express.
Yeah, all the way through, but we started noticing a lot of things here as the time comes up on the scoreboard of a 5.66. That's not a bad time. Miserable weather, miserable track conditions. 5:51, 5:78 loses that round.
Fred Schaefer and Mark Hall squared off against one another in round one, and it was Barefoot advancing. Fred Schaefer, the old-time drag racer.
Something we're starting to notice, a lot of the wins are coming out of the same lane. The drivers are starting to watch each other. The track is developing a personality. Schaefer, a 5.83 in the brand new 94 Dodge truck. That's a brand new truck for him. Hall, he nets a 6.66.
Well, we also might mention the monsters are here.
You know, any other kind of motorsport, everybody has been back in the hotel right now talking. That's not the case with these monster guys. They came to race, they're going to race. Rick Rattler, this kid's making a name for himself. The owner of the truck, Cole Cobra, is out doing some research and development. He puts Rick in the seat. Rick's going to go up against Ken Deppy out of Jeff City, Missouri. Again, another driver that somebody picked to go into that seat. Fred Schaefer picked Deppy to go into the seat of the number 2 Dodge.
These are kind of hired guns out there right now, and there's the shootout, round 2. Hey, look at this. Well, there's a breakage on the big red Dodge, and Rattler in Snakebite will advance.
Boy, they're drilling some decent times. What happened? Deppy came off that first jump a little bit crooked. Rules say you've got to hit the second jump with your front tires. He knew he wasn't going to do it, so instead of tearing something up, check the replay out. He just very wisely backpedaled right here. Now watch when he comes off. See, he's crooked right now.
Meanwhile, Rick Rattler
Same
sails
as
the
our
victory, and
producer and
he's with
director.
our...
We're the ones standing out in the rain.
Yeah. They're back in the remote truck where it's dry and warm.
Well, Fred Schaefer rolled out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois, in a brand new truck. When I say brand new, I mean it. Dodge said they designed a new truck. That's what it's all about. He goes against this truck, Andy Brass, in the awesome Wildfoot. This is a truck that's been writing a legend for itself, a legend in its own time, driven by none other than Andy Brass out of St. Louis.
Well, as you indicated, there is that brand new body style, the 94 Dodge pickup body style.
Yeah, they took all the engineers, put them in a room, said we're starting with a clean piece of paper and we're going to build a truck. They built a good
who
one.
won that one? Who won that one?
Andy worked hard. Fred was right there. Let's wait and see. Brass goes a 5:43, Gary. You take the Dodge's time.
Brass by an eyelash, perhaps? Yes, 5:50 for Fred Schaefer. So Andy Brass advances in Wildfoot. Look at the range.
For the very first run on a vehicle, I am impressed. That thing's only going to, that little thing we're talking about here, the red truck's only going to get better, quicker, faster, fly longer, higher.
A lot of experience in the cockpit. Fred Schaefer in barefoot, but the winner is Andy Brass. Here he is with Army.
Put Fred Schaefer in that Dodge away.
Well, there is a look at the brand new 94 body style for that Dodge pickup truck. In your right lane, Fred Schaefer. The left lane, Snakebite, was the fast qualifier in much drier conditions yesterday.
You know, that Dodge truck has got everybody buzzing back in the pit area. People coming from all over to watch it to see how it runs. Right now, it's just a race truck, and he's going on a trailer. Yeah.
Rick Rattler, the Snakebite. Time 5:53.
Well, the numbers are there today. They're turning some good numbers.
Yeah, despite the inclement weather.
Exactly. Well, the new Dodge will have to wait for another day to take his first win. Right now, the kid rolls over into the final.
But I think you'll be seeing a whole lot more of Fred Schaefer in that Dodge as we look one more time.
No, no doubt about it. Schaefer, the horsepower is there. This might be a case, we told you earlier, they're having to detune the engine. Too much horsepower, slow you down in the middle.
There's the margin of victory, almost a truck length.
Plus, I want you to notice something else. Every win today has come out of the same lane, and you can't do it in the final. Somebody's going to have to go over into what we call the bad lane. That's where the
Crew
Dodge was
frantically
that time.
trying to get a drive shaft. The front drive shaft went away on the Snakebite. The Bigfoot crew, believe it or not, got him in the final. They said, no, we're not going to roll over. We'll go help them. We're going to beat them. We'll beat them on the track. So what they've got is 9 minutes to get the vehicle squared away, plus 3 minutes from the time you're called. You have 3 minutes from the time you're called to make the call. So really, what this crew is confronted with is 12 minutes. The Bigfoot crew came over and said, look, you stay in the truck. We'll put it back together for you. If we're going to beat you, we're not going to beat you by breakage. We're going to beat you on a racetrack, and we got about 12 minutes to find out what it's all about.
Call that great sportsmanship, but what that means is that Fred Schaefer could be the man to go to the finals if Snakebite is not ready to go. So there is a look at the quagmire in the infield here at Indy. Let's go check with Fred Schaefer, Army.
Okay, Fred, you never give up, man. There's still a chance, isn't there? You might get in the final here.
Yeah, Army, it's real slick out there, as you know, and I've been having trouble coming on my first ramp. The truck's getting a little sideways, and the conditions are pretty poor out there, and we're just doing the best we can.
One of the things I noticed, when these guys that got a handle on you, got that lane choice, they keep putting you in the left lane. That does not seem to be the place to be. They don't want to be there, that's for sure.
That's right, Army. You're right there. The left lane is not near as good as the right lane, and obviously that's why they're putting me over there.
Qualifying right here, Fred Schaefer rolls out in a brand new Dodge and winds up being the quick qualifier of the afternoon. So he's laid the gauntlet down. Let's see who's going to pick it up at Indy.
That was the quickest run of round one.
Round one, yeah.
And now in round two, we see the matchup against Barefoot. This is the Dodge of Fred Schaefer.
Now in round one, Schaefer put John Moore in his Ford, HPX Ford, on the trailer with the second quickest time.
Yeah, and Army, that time was 5:67 as we take a look at that run by Fred Schaefer, the far lane, and Barefoot. And there's the margin of victory over John Moore's no problem, and there's the time, the second fastest pass in round one. So
Okay,
now we see Barefoot line up against Wildfoot.
Barefoot has won out of that lane. If there's a bad lane, I'm saying it's that one because it's a soft lane. That's where you're digging 24 inches down. The lane closest to us gets a little bit better bite. Let's see what's going to happen. We got a race. Boy, do we have a race.
Oh,
Yeah.
Barefoot.
Woo.
Barefoot. And look at him sliding to a stop. Look at that quagmire, a 5:26. So he is faster that run than he was in round one to a 5:40.
He beat up on the quick guy.
So Fred Schaefer out of neighboring Illinois will take his Dodge on to the next round.
Take the 94 Dodge on to the next round. Man, the guys at Chrysler got to be grinning from ear to ear for that Dodge to come out. And look at that.
He gets a bad hop right there at the start, but still makes it work. So let's go down to the pit area and talk to Fred.
Fred, you guys are actually starting up there in like a 24-inch hole. How do you get off the line?
Army, it's pretty tricky, and you really got to watch your staging there and try and feather it out. I was worried about red lighting because with my wheelbase being longer, I'm on the top side of the hill, so it wants to roll through the lights. So it's pretty tricky out there.
There is the Dodge Barefoot Fred Schaefer.
Well, it's a shame he comes out with a brand new, beautiful truck trying to show it off, and it's just the worst possible weather we could be in. And but then again, you know, trucks are supposed to get dirty, so maybe that's an omen for the Dodge people that, yeah, it is a good, tough truck.
The Dodge Barefoot, the far lane, the Ford Wildfoot, the near lane. Fred Schaefer, the veteran drag racer, against Andy Brass, the veteran monster truck campaigner.
More than that, it's Ford against Dodge, Mopar against
Fresh Cam.
Boom! Who got it? I couldn't tell again.
Now, once again, from that angle, we're going to have to wait, but there's a look at Andy Brass's 5.25 in this type of condition. An excellent drive, and a 5.28 for Fred Schaefer. Oh, ever so close, but Andy Brass will advance.
Man, oh man, that was a good race.
All right, now here is the replay, and you'll see the margin of victory. 3/100ths of a second for Andy Brass. Right there it is. That's the difference. Sam Vodders with the best time from round one would be turned in by Fred Schaefer in the Barefoot Dodge, taking on Kirk Dabney, USA 1. And watch Kirk Dabney hand grenade the engine.
Yeah, he kicked a rod right out the side of the engine when he settled down after the final jump. About an $18,000 tag right there. But Schaefer, he laid the law down with a 5.56, Gary.
Now watch this expensive smoke screen, the right side of your screen. There it is.
A lot of RPM when he got it up in the air. See, that's what caused that.
Well, just barely outshone by Schaefer's time was that of his teammate Ken Deppy in the Dodge Express. He took on Wayne Smozanik in Tropical Thunder. There's Ken Deppy's time of 5.58.
Earlier in the day, I had a chance to talk to Ken Deppy about the lane situation.
Yesterday, qualifying, it seemed like the left lane was just a little bit slicker on the starting line than the right lane was, so that you didn't get quite as good a bite. Today, I think they're pretty even. At least that's what it seems right now.
So Deppy in his Dodge will pull alongside the Chevy moving violation. And then as a look in the cockpit, Brian Welsh, he is here by virtue of the disqualification in round one. You saw the fast qualifier Andy Brass and Wildfoot get DQ'd for going out of bounds. So now action begins in round two, Chevrolet versus Dodge. A look from the crush cam as the Dodge Express takes the victory, Ken Deppy.
Yeah, with the movement violation, Welsh goes to 6.06, and remember in this sport, the quick loser of the previous round is eligible to come back. He may not be over by the end of the day. Meanwhile, Deppy drills it with a 5.56.
So Deppy advances. Brian will have to wait and see if indeed he is the fast loser. We take one more look at the big Dodge Express and the victory in the near lane. And Army, I think you're down there with Ken.
Ken Deppy looking good out there today, looking real smooth.
Thank you, Army. Yeah, the truck seems like it's running real good. Thanks to Dodge for the strong motor in here. Even if I make a little mistake, the motor seems to make up for it.
Talk about a shootout. Look what's coming up now. Fred Schaefer, the old drag racer, in the new Dodge Ram Barefoot. And he'll pull alongside the mysterious Rick Rattler in Snakebite.
It's kind of like an old-time street face-slapping competition, if you will. Neither one of these guys like each other. Schaefer out of Pontoon Beach, Illinois, runs the supercharged, awesome horsepower Dodge engine, and then Rattler comes up with the research and development situation for the Ford.
It's the Ford Snakebite against the Dodge Barefoot. Remember, the fast loser will return for the semifinals.
We got a race. We got a race. Check it out.
Looks like Fred Schaefer by what? A couple of feet? So Fred Schaefer's Dodge takes the victory, but let's check the time now for Snakebite. Rick Rattler in losing. Well, there's Fred Schaefer's time of 5.53.
We know he's going into the next round, but there's the magic
there it is.
number.
Yeah, Rick Rattler right now, your fast loser. So Rick would advance to the semifinals with the Dodge Express with the Boogie Van and with Barefoot. If we take a look again.
Both trucks roll the starting line. Now, no man's land, they plant the horsepower. Schaefer up on the horsepower, muscles it out of that left lane.
Oh, man, he is really finding the horsepower and is able to get that horsepower to the ground. That's the key in monster truck racing. Yeah, you have to stick it, and you have to have that suspension working as well. So Fred Schaefer takes the victory. And right now, Army, I think you're down there with Fred.
Well, right now, the crew immediately goes back to work. We're going to jump in and see if we can pick up what's going on. Fred, congratulations. The truck looks really good, but your truck is doing something that no other truck out here is doing. Why does your truck land and squat and doesn't bounce back?
Army, we're trying some new suspension here this weekend, and it's only the second or third pass for it. The truck's getting faster every run. I got a lot of confidence. The rules have changed.
Interesting.
You've got 2 Dodges and 2 Fords. One difference is you do have one young lady in this thing. We're down to the final 4. When you get to this point, it's not for grins and giggles. Everybody wants to take a win. The drivers have completed what we call a dry hops, the technology they brought over from the sport of drag racing, trying to get the chassis to stick to the ground on the starting line. Ken Deppy, the hired gun, represents Dodge. Kid out of Cobra Creek, Colorado, representing the Ford camp with Snakebite, good camera angle. Gary, this is going to be a rocket ride right here.
Well, keep in mind that Snakebite was the fast loser from the last round. So let's see what he can do now with this 12-truck format. The fast loser comes back from the quarterfinals. Good shot down the track. We are down to the final 4. Right-hand side is Snakebite. Left-hand side, Dodge Express.
Look like Snakebite moved first. Dodge trying to muscle in the middle.
Snakebite.
Whoa.
Ricky Rattler, the fast loser from the quarterfinals, comes back at 5:31. He keeps getting faster. The Dodge Express of Ken Deppy will go back to the trailer. And the win goes to Snakebite, Rick Rattler.
Boy, that truck moved quick in that far lane.
He got off to a very good start, a good hole shot, and there is the margin of victory. Oh my, a wheel at most.
At most.
One more look coming right at you. Left-hand lane is Snakebite.
No man's land is where the Dodge lost it.
And Army is down. A look now at Fred Schaefer.
There's a dry hops again, yeah. The Dodge fellas are doing the same thing. Maybe the Chrysler Corporation is bringing a lot of their technology from the drag racing sport over. Meanwhile, this young lady is making a lot of friends, developing
the crowd favorite here.
And she's a privateer. She relies on the Ford to make horsepower, about a 460 cubic inch engine.
Her husband, Mike Vodders, has been involved in monster truck racing for some time. Now Pam is behind the wheel of this brand new Boogie Van. I like this view here from behind the starting line.
Yeah, it's the safest view we have doing these events, Gary.
Pam Vodders, the far side. Fred Schaefer, the near side. The veteran against the newcomer.
Schaefer moves, puts a horsepower down in no man's land.
And Schaefer takes the victory. But I tell you, Pam has to be real proud of what she's done here this afternoon as we take a look at the 540. Now, keep in mind, that is not as fast as Snakebite went in the other lane.
So the final is set with Snakebite having the time advantage as we get ready to go into that final.
That would give Snakebite lane choice.
And I'll guarantee you he'll go back to the right lane. Speaking of right lane, Pam Vodders in that previous round left out of the right lane with the Dodge, but when he got in no man's land, Gary, that big Chrysler Hemi just started to muscle it on the other end.
Well, once again, a good day for Pam Vodders. She makes it to the final 4 in only her third outing with the Penda Series. There's a good look at a pretty truck. I like the paint job on that van.
I do too, and I guarantee you she'll sell a whole lot of t-shirts today because she's got a whole lot of fans that are going to start following her on the circuit.
Coming right at you here in no man's land with that new suspension they're working on. He settles down right here, applies the horsepower, takes the victory, and right now Army is standing by in the victory lane area with Fred Schaefer.
Fred, I think that young lady proved that she can get up here and run with you guys if everything's right.
Yeah, after watching her first round, Army, I want to do everything right up there. She's going to run really hard today.
So you weren't going to roll over, you played her hard.
Yeah, I did. I played her just like she was the best runner out there because she looks real impressive.
Where will the race be won or lost? Start, middle, or end?
I think I can out horsepower in between the cars, but getting off the line with him, I think, is going to be the problem. Is trying to stay with him off the gate.
Well, now, once again, remember, these two matched up in round 2 competition in the quarterfinals, and it was Barefoot taking that victory. And Snakebite was the fast loser of the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
he came back.
You don't race by looking behind you. You race by looking in front of you. From right now forward is what counts. What happened in the past doesn't mean a thing, but I tell you what, both of these guys are going to lead quick. Snakebite knows he's got to get him on the starting line. Fred told you that. He said he can muscle him in the middle. The kid in the far lane has got to drill the big Dodge on the starting line. He did it. He did it, Gary.
Good hole shot for Rick Rattler, and Snakebite. Look at the margin of victory for Snakebite. The Ford takes the win over the Dodge of Fred Schaefer.
And the crowd goes crazy here in Naples, Florida.
A 593, but remember, we saw earlier a 536. Rick went 531 in that lane.
He said he had it figured out. Amen to that. He definitely had it figured out.
So once again, after being beaten by Fred Schaefer in the quarterfinals as a fast loser, he comes back and he's going to take the victory. He's going to take all of it.
Exactly. But the starting line, thousandths of a second. See, he was back down on the ground in no man's land while Fred was still in the air. We're not taking anything away from Fred, but that Ford fought to the top to take the win here.
But all season long, this Dodge Barefoot will be a truck to reckon with. I mean, they have come back. They have arrived.
They're definitely serious, and they're going after these guys.
Taking a twisted neck.
Thump the cam, didn't
Wayne Smozanik, the far lane, Tropical Thunder. Fred Schaefer, the near side, and the Dodge Barefoot. And it's all Fred Schaefer.
You can see in no man's land, he was making so much horsepower, he's actually picking the sand up and throwing it. You can see that with the camera.
Three in the Ford Snakebite. Now it's Ken Deppy in the Dodge Express and Don Van Loo in Magnum Force. This is all action from round one, and Ken Deppy takes the big victory and advances to round two. His time 5:51 as he slides. All the sponsors on.
Yeah, he must practice in front of a mirror to do that.
Fred Schaefer in Barefoot, the Dodge, and he will go up against Bigfoot, the Ford of Gene Patterson. Gene is the fast qualifier here this afternoon. Fifth best qualifier, Fred Schaefer. After round one, Army asked Fred about racing at this facility.
Army, one of the problems down here is we can't get hooked up on the line. Everybody's times are pretty close down here, but everybody's having problems getting hooked up on the stand. We put a little more air in the tires and try and get the tire on top of the stand so we can get going. That's about it.
In any kind of motorsport, you tweak the chassis, you make adjustments to the engine to adapt to the racing facility.
Yeah, you adjust to the track doesn't adjust to you. Horsepower in the mid-range, pulled it out for the Dodge. Now the shutout fun.
Yeah, this is, once again, this is the mile of mud. This is where they run those swamp buggies here under a couple of feet of water.
Yeah, they actually drained 4 feet of water out of here. And they say there's an alligator out here somewhere. That's the reason I'm standing up on the board.
Well, this is Florida. There are plenty of alligators down here.
But this facility is amazing. The only one I know of in the country. They provide these people of South Florida with all types of motorsporting events. This week, monster trucks.
All right, will it be Dodge? Will it be Ford? And there is a look at Ken Deppy out of Jefferson City, Missouri in the Dodge Express. And he'll pull alongside Rick Rattler, Cobra Creek, Colorado, in Snakebite.
You'll notice that Deppy comes into this thing, and he'll do the dry hop to that Dodge, the vehicle closest to us. They find out that makes that truck leave the line a little bit harder. The dry hop, in other words, false starting before the race where they can get everything ready to go. Meanwhile, the Colorado Ford, he just went to the line and waited. What a race.
Whoa, who was it?
Looked like
who was it?
Looked like a P-51 Mustang nosing over at that finish line. I believe the Dodge with a 5.33 will make it an all-Dodge final. Let's wait and see.
5.33 for Deppy as we wait for the Snakebite. 5.36 indeed. Deppy will advance. So it looks like Bigfoot is the fast loser. He will come back to comprise our 4-truck field for the semis with Barefoot, Bigfoot, Wildfoot, and the Dodge Express. And there is the margin of victory, just that close for Ken Deppy. And talk about the battle in corporate America in the semifinals. 2 Fords and 2 Dodges, and Ken Deppy is happy, and he is with Army.
Boy, it just keeps coming back to you. Army, I'll tell you, it's been one of those days you just got to fight it sometimes. We broke a shock qualifying and came back. I broke both my snubbers off. We got it fixed again. They just told me that I beat Snakebite. I was glad of that. Snakebite and I have been running real close all year.
You were not aware that you were the winner on that race?
Not until I just pulled back in the pits and the crew gave me the thumbs up.
It's on to the semifinals for Ken Deppy. A big thumbs up, and we're coming back with more action from
Another
Florida
way the
Sports
dry
Bar.
hop procedure starts. You know, what can you say? Ford wants to sell trucks. Dodge wants to sell trucks. Ford's in this sport for the exposure to sell. Dodge, they're here for the same reason. This is about a corporate battle as you're going to get. You can talk NASCAR and all this stuff, but I tell you what, Ford and Dodge realize they get some exposure from these monster trucks, and they're capitalizing on it.
We are focusing on the drivers, but it's a crew team effort today.
Sure.
And dialing these trucks into work, a very unique racing facility here.
You're exactly right. The facility, but keep in mind, the facility is the same. You adjust to the track. The track does not adjust to you. This one, it's an old cliche, is going to be worth the price of admission for the next two races.
Side by side over the last set of cars. Who was it?
I don't know, but watch them shut down.
Well, that was almost a photo finish. Gene Patterson, a 5:23 for Patterson. We'll go by the time now. A 5:23, 5:16. So Fred Schaefer in the Barefoot Dodge will advance. This is really a track to test your self-discipline. They cannot use all their horsepower. They cannot get it down.
No, it's a finesse track. It's kind of like a bull moose with ballet in mind.
And the curtain just fell on Bigfoot. A bull moose and ballet slippers.
Those folks out there understand exactly what I'm talking about, right, folks? Meanwhile, the Dodge is set for the final.
Dodge takes the victory over the Ford as we take a look at the undercarriage of Bigfoot. And we go down now to Victory Lane to visit with our winner, Fred Schaefer.
Fred, I keep talking about corporate America's watching this sport. You had to make the Dodge guys awfully happy there.
Yeah, I did, Army. The Dodge is running real good. New Ram, got a lot of compliments on it. We're real happy with the performance, and for the heat today, I think we're doing real good.
Well, now as we take a look at the Dodge Express with Ken Deppy and Wildfoot with Andy Brass. And the winner here will go on to face Fred Schaefer for the championship here in Naples.
You talk about pressure. Andy Brass has got a pocket load of pressure right now because we know one Dodge is going to be in the final. We've been talking to you all day long about the corporate involvement, how Dodge doesn't want Ford to beat them, Ford doesn't want Dodge to beat them. Well, Dodge has half the field covered. Now, Andy Brass has all the pressure of the world on his shoulder because if we're going to get a Ford in the final, he's the only guy that can carry that blue and white flag of the blue oval bunch to the final. I don't think it bothers him a bit, though. This kid is cool. Half track looks good. Brass is out
It is.
No, all Dodge final.
Who is it? Another photo finish. I couldn't tell from my vantage point, Army. 5:20 for Andy Brass.
I think we got an all Dodge final.
5:20 for Ken Deppy. It's a dead heat. We'll have to run it again. Oh, how many times have we seen this?
Never.
Never.
Look at this. Both trucks settle down. Watch the nose on the trucks as they go over the finish line. Dodge is nose down. Ford is nose up.
But it's still a dead heat. A pair of 5:20s. We look again, and that means we'll have to run them again.
Boy, this is awesome. I guess that's what the ruling is in the sport. Meanwhile, Andy Brass getting a real good look at the crowd.
Well, they'll have to go back, check out those vehicles for any damage before they come back to the starting line, dry hop again, stage them, and race again. Now, let's go down trackside. Army, you have a report on some damage to the Dodge Express.
Gary, this is a situation down in the pit area. This is the shock that came off the Dodge Express on that previous run. A $1,500 Custer shock. The hydraulics on it messed up. It is no good. Junk. Throw it away. They had to go back to the pit area and get their backup shock. That's this one right here. The crew says they can change the shocks, but the problem is the time element. It takes about 15 minutes to change one of these Custer off-road shocks. They don't have 15 minutes. The word I'm getting is they're down to about 3 or 4 minutes before they get the call. Back to you, Gary.
So as the work continues on the Dodge Express, Andy Brass waits patiently in Wildfoot to see if he'll have a chance for a rematch of that dead heat with the Dodge Express. We'll step aside while this gets sorted out.
Gary, there's some confusion down in the pit area. We're going to try to sum it up for you real quick. Andy Brass will be going against the Barefoot Dodge in the final. This is what happened. The Barefoot Dodge won his race, automatically moving himself into the final. Andy Brass was not declared a winner because his heat with the Dodge Express was a dead heat. But the Dodge Express broke, could not make the time call. They allow you so much time to get your vehicle fixed. When he broke, he could not make the call. So what that does, it rolls Andy into the final. Andy Brass with Ford, Fred Schaefer for Dodge. This is final time. This is what this sport is all about. Gary?
Bigfoot, barefoot. There's a look at Fred Schaefer, and there's a look at Andy Brass.
I don't know what to tell you about this one. Andy Brass, look for a rocket ride off the start line. Both these guys are going to go down through here like they're sitting on the nose cone of a heat-seeking missile. I guarantee you, you're going to see...
Well, you're going to see two pros of the sport right here. You're going to see a clinic and how it's done on a very tacky track.
And we keep bouncing back to this corporate involvement. Well, it doesn't get any more pressure on either driver now. Andy Brass doesn't have all the pressure. He's there. Now the pressure levels out. We got a level playing field, but we got a real sandy racetrack, and we're looking for one green light to tell us who's going to win it.
Wheel stand down no man's land for Andy Brass, and it looks like Fred Schaefer has it.
I believe he did. I think the Dodge took to win. A 5.33 for Schaefer could be the magic number.
Now remember, Brass was quicker the last time at 5.20. He turns a 5.36, so it is Fred Schaefer in barefoot. The fans seem to appreciate the outcome of this event this afternoon. One more look. Look at the margin of victory.
Exactly, but what's the attitude of the trucks at the finish line? The Dodge nose down, the Ford nose up. That's the way they set these trucks up. The Dodges are set up to dive at the finish line. You watch this. Boom.
Well, let's go down to victory lane and talk to Fred Schaefer.
Well, Fred, congratulations to you. Man, this sport is just going and growing, and you're taking these guys big time.
Thank you, Army. That's that Dodge advantage, and boy, it's really running good this weekend. It's a nice place to be in Florida, and it's a good weekend for Dodge.
Let's talk about the run itself. Andy Brass, a little bit of controversy before the run. You know, this could have broken a lot of trains of thoughts for you or Andy, but both of you seem to stay like old gunfighters. You stay calm, cool, and let the trucks win the race.
That's right, Army. I guess it's being a racer as long as I have, and just I just stay calm in there, having trouble with the lights and the trouble that we have. That's part of racing. Just keep a good, cool head and do everything right in the seat, and that's where it all comes out at the end.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
And I add my congratulations to the barefoot driver Fred Schaefer on his victory here in Naples, Florida. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's word of an exciting new video offer from Diamond P Sports. Run in that 11 truck format. In round one competition, Mark Hall taking on Fred Schaefer in the near lane. Now watch Fred get crooked coming off that second set of cars, but hangs on to get her woed. He used every inch of shutdown area with that. Gene Patterson was the fast qualifier as we look at Fred Schaefer in the Dodge barefoot. Now Bigfoot had a bye in the first round, so he's been watching the action. He knows what the other guys have done in round one, but now he pulls alongside this guy right here from Illinois. Nearest to the camera, Bigfoot, the far lane, barefoot. Dodge against Ford.
And neither one of them will blink. This is what this sport is all coming down to. Patterson representing the big blue oval bunch. The Ford camp driving a Bigfoot truck going against Schaefer, one of the Dodge boys, trying to pull off that Mopar magic on the far side.
And remember, in this format, the fast loser of this round will come back. So no matter what happens, oh, look at that wheel stand by Fred Schaefer. Hang on. High sides the Ford, but Gene Patterson brings it back down by powering out of it. Fred Schaefer a 3.73, but Bigfoot wins that one. Gene Patterson advances with a 370. That means that Barefoot could come back as the fast loser.
370 and threw in a two-wheelie for us.
Indoors, not a whole lot of shutdown area, and watch this again. Watch the wheel stand first by Schaefer.
Also Patterson, now Patterson did a wheel stand, came off a little bit crooked. When this truck lands, it'll land a little bit cockeyed, and that's what causes it to get up on two wheels. Both drivers literally doing wheelies to get off the starting line.
So Gene Patterson takes that victory, and right there is the Dodge Express with Ken Deffy. So once again, we have seen more and more of these Dodge-Ford shootouts.
I think we're going to see more as the sport goes along. The big question that Army Armstrong has is, where are the Chevrolet guys in this sport?
Well, Chevrolet may have to go back and regroup, because right now we're seeing more of the Ford and more of the Dodge.
That's all we're seeing, it seems like. Andy Brass, past world champion with the Wildfoot truck, went up against the young gun, the hired gun out of Jeff City, Missouri. Dodge, Ford, what can we say? Let's kick back and watch. Dodge won the last one.
This one will be Ford was not that close. Andy Brass, Wildfoot, the latest computerized creation of Bob and Marilyn Chandler with a 3.63 pass. Once again, some slower, some faster times here because it's a shorter track.
Right,
exactly. With the slower times outside. An appreciative crowd. Always one of the premier events on the Monster Truck Series as we come indoors here in the Hoosier Dome.
Well, Gary, it's Indianapolis. These people really appreciate good motorsports, and that's
Brett
exactly
Schaefer.
what they're looking for. Now, the track itself, it likes this Dodge because the Dodge runs a Lenco transmission. Now, those of you that follow drag race know what I'm talking about. It's a specially designed racing transmission. The Ford you're looking at here runs a C6 transmission. You can buy them all day long at your local Ford dealer. So the transmission advantage at this time, in my opinion, would have to go to the red Dodge. However, the last time they met, that transmission couldn't make up the top end charge of the big blue Ford, Gary.
Yeah, that was in round 2 when Bigfoot won and Barefoot comes back as the fast loser. But here we are in the semifinals. The winner here goes to the championship.
And Barefoot has made a change in that transmission, trying to make up the difference. Look at that.
Oh, Bigfoot by maybe a foot. A Bigfoot. We'll check the times now at 3.66 for Gene Patterson. But 3.66 to a 3.68.
But the difference on if the replay comes up, look at the attitude of the Dodge truck. He changed that transmission we were talking about, so the power came in at a completely different time. They both get over the first jump pretty clean, but right now, the Dodge really goes up on the RPM and the Ford goes to the other end.
But by the narrowest of margins, Bigfoot Gene Patterson will advance, and the Barefoot monster truck will go on the trailer. So Bigfoot will go to the championship here at the Hoosier Dome. And right now, let's go down trackside.